Cotonou, Benin Republic and Lome, Togo are two of the most accessible countries for people in southern Nigeria to visit. This is a comparison for you so you can decide on which of these countries to visit. But by the end of this video, I'll give you a wonderful third option that will improve your experience. So you will finally decided to go on a West African road trip from Nigeria. It might be your first or your most recent trip. For obvious reasons, countries like Benin, Togo, Ghana are one of the first countries that many Nigerians visit. The cheapest way to visit Benin Republic or Togo is by going yourself. You get a mixture of buses and bikes and get closer and closer to the border until you finally get to Seme. Once you cross over, you do the same thing if you're going to Cotonou or continue your journey towards Lome. I would not recommend that. While the most expensive, you can fly on Air Sky to Lome. You can fly on Air Peace from Lagos to Cotonou. I don't know why. And Air Burkina offers flights between Cotonou Airport and Lome Airport for almost $1,200 for a literal 10-minute flight. So I usually recommend that people use bus companies, or if those bus companies are too expensive, go to my tour. Welcome to Cotonou, one of my favorite cities in Africa. I'm a very big fan of chill cities and chill countries where I can escape the hustle and bustle of Lagos, and Cotonou does that without being too far. It's a beautiful city and it is quite multicultural. You can hear people speaking multiple languages on the streets: French, Pidgin French, Yoruba, other local languages in Benin Republic, English, Pidgin English, and a lot of people spoke English, lots more than I expected. Not everybody though, but in the past, when the Nigerian economy still made sense, people used to come to Nigeria to work for a couple years and then move back home. So a lot of people speak English or Pidgin English. You might also be surprised to hear that Cotonou is not the country's capital. That title is held by Port Novo, a couple hours northeast. But things aren't cheap in this country. Ask anybody that has been there. Lome is another underrated city in West Africa. I had traveled through this country multiple times. It literally takes 30 minutes to go from the border with Benin to the border with Ghana. Togo is a very skinny country. I had traveled through this country more than half a dozen times or more, but I never actually said that let me stop and spend the night and actually see what it had to offer. I changed that and my experience wasn't the best, and that's not an insult to Lome. That is a fault of mine. I did not plan it well. I was basically going from one country to another and Togo was in the middle. I did not plan well, but you definitely should. I arrived in the country at night and had to face border corruption because I didn't come with a Nigerian transport company that would make all that disappear. Togo is one of the few countries in the world whereby its capital is both a coastal city and a border town. So if you don't take time, you can easily walk into Ghana from Lome and not know that you are in Lome. I can't tell you how many times I've had friends that told me that they could be going to somewhere new and then they'll just get a message, welcome to Ghana. So it happens. Please help me subscribe if you are enjoying this video, and if you are not, still subscribe. I'm sure you will enjoy the next one. I feel the perfect itinerary for either of these countries is a 2-day 1 night or 3-day 2 nights itinerary where you can take the weekend off, do what you need to do and be back by Sunday evening. There are lots of things to do and see in Cotonou. Obviously, the Amazon monument has become an unofficial mascot for the entire country, so you cannot go without seeing it, and it's free, so you really have no excuse not to see it. Next up, we have the graffiti mural on the same road meters away. You also need to see that. For real, I think it's one of the largest in the world, if not the largest. Bab's Dock is another amazing place to stop by at. I'm sure you will not regret it. And then feel free to indulge in one or more of the amazing beaches available in the capital. I think as a Lagosian, we're not really used to free beaches, but yeah, the best beaches are often free, so indulge in it. Obviously, if you are coming from Nigeria, Lome is a bit farther than Benin Republic. Under normal circumstances, you should get there about 2 or so hours after, and the 2 hours is because of the border legalities you have to go through. If you leave in the morning in Nigeria, you might not get there until like 2 or 3 p.m. More often than not, you might get there earlier or later. So for Lome, you might want to have like 3 or 4 days if you want to really do much. Palais de Lome is a very beautiful spot in the country and it looks otherworldly. If you go there, you have no excuse not to visit, but you need to book a day before. The day I went there, they were like, I have to book a day before, so I could only book for the next day, and I was traveling the next day. Hotel do Fevrier, that's Hotel 2nd of February, is one of the most luxurious hotels in the country. I don't know if it's the biggest, but it certainly is massive. And similar to Cotonou, enjoy the wide open beaches as much as you can. Things I love about Cotonou and Benin Republic as a whole. First and foremost, honest, before going, I did not know that WIDA was a thing. Obviously, I knew about the point of no return, but I did not plan to go to WIDA. And then on day one, my boss was like, so when are you going to WIDA? I was like, I'm not going. I didn't even know what that is. And then they were like, nah, you can't come to Benin and not go to WIDA. I was like, okay, then we have to go. If I hadn't gone, Lord knows I would have regretted it a lot. My hosts and their family were nothing short of amazing. I might not have the most money in the world, but I'm rich in people. And having people like that in my life is beyond amazing. And I always let them know every time. One thing I always notice when I travel through Benin is each time I visit, there's a little bit more. Obviously, every country has their issues, but Benin, especially in the major cities, you can actually see quantifiable growth and changes every time you visit or pass through on your way to other West African countries. So shout out to them for that. On the other hand, Lome is another amazing city, but like I mentioned earlier, I regret not planning this part of my trip better. Admittedly, the country is a bit small, and if you're really motivated and interested, you can do everything there is to do, in my opinion, in the first few days, maybe 3-5 days at most. But I love the coastal nature. The moment you cross into the country, you do not need to be told. You look to the left if you're coming from Nigeria, or you look to the right if you're coming from Ghana, and you just see, you can smell it in the air, very salty. You can see it, like, it's just amazing. It feels very coastal, and I think that's something that we do not have in Lagos. You could live on the island and still not feel like you're living on a coastal or in a coastal town. But yeah, I love the coastal feel, and the smallness or the size of the country also makes it very cozy, and it is very low-key. If you've made your money as an Nigerian, you just want somewhere where you can be close to home doing your thing, definitely consider Lome. It would be the ideal country for many people, and to me, it's like the ideal situation. You've come this far in the video, which shows that you must be enjoying it, and if you are, consider subscribing. It helps a lot. Let's talk a bit about WIDA. So WIDA is pretty much a tourism town. It attracts a lot of tourists locally and internationally, and if you ever see like an advertisement to go to Benin Republic, majority of the activities you see there and places you see there are in WIDA. The point of no return, where over 2 million enslaved people were shipped off from, is in WIDA. And surprisingly, or at least to me, the WIDA slave port was larger and more deadly than the Badagry slave port in Nigeria. You have the Snake Temple, or the Python Temple as it's called, and then Zinsu Foundation. You might have heard about places like Casa del Papa and other resorts. They are also in WIDA and not Cotonou or Port Novo. So if you are going, ensure you visit WIDA. And many people actually skip Cotonou as a whole. Once they get into the country, they go straight to WIDA because they are not here to mess around. They're here for the action. If you have less time to spend, I would advise you to just go straight to WIDA, and that might make your trip like a 2-day 1-night, or actually just 1-day 1-night trip, to be honest. Rather than visiting either Lome or Cotonou, have you considered doing both? You can actually do both for slightly less than what you would spend doing just one. So here is what I would do if I wanted to do both. I would take a bus company, GIGM, ABC, Chisco, the choice is yours, and I'll find one that has a favorable price and book my ticket to Lome. When I checked a couple months ago, Lome and Cotonou passengers on these companies, on some of them, pay the same price, different from those that are going to Accra. So I take a bus from Lagos to Lome with the transport company. They drop me in Lome. Maybe when I'm done, I walk backwards, because a lot of these places, if it's your first time crossing the border, you get to pay more for the stamp. I think 4,000 francs, but if it your second or more time, you pay less. So by having the Nigerian company cross you, you've already gotten your stamp and no issue in the future. So you just come back to Benin and then Lagos. You can also fly if you are wealthy. Air Peace flies from Lagos to Cotonou. I have no idea whether that route exists, but it exists. If your choice is Lome, you can fly on Sky to Lome. And if you are in one country, probably you are in Lome, you want to fly to Air Peace. Air Booking offers connection between both airports, which are like 10-15 minutes away. You can also go by boat to Benin Republic, that's Port Novo, and then go by road to Lome. The choice is yours. Now that you have decided to go to Benin or Togo, I hope you've gained at least 1 or 2 things from this video. And if you have, you should consider supporting this channel by becoming a member or gifting super thanks. It means a lot to us and costs less than $1. That being said, I would advise anyone that is not a seasoned traveler across the west coast of Africa to just get a bus company and let them do the struggles for you, because the border corruption immigration at most of these borders, if not all, is incredible. These people are very friendly, they'll smile with you, but they are ready to mess you up if you don't give them what they want. Both of these countries are definitely worth visiting in 2025, and if I have the time and the money, I will definitely visit again. But please go with an open mind. I've seen a lot of Nigerians go to these countries with a sense of superiority, feeling like you're better than them and you're doing them a favor by being there. Go with an open mind and try to show some sense of humility. That being said, until the next video, your friend from the Ukodo YouTube channel wishes you love, peace and prosperity.